We're going to go through the app that I use to do our training, check-ins and communication. You'll see it on the screen here as I'm going through stuff. It's called CoachRX. We'll be receiving an email invite where you can download the app and get your details all sorted. Once you've got it installed and logged on, the first thing that you'll come across is the intake form. It's going to take about 20 minutes to go through. It's really, really important that we go through this and answer everything properly. This is what's going to help me both create the best program for you, as well as understand you as a person, your goals, your availability, and a bunch of other stuff. It really is the kind of holy grail for getting everything set up with your training, so we can get the ground running and get everything going. After you completed the intake form, I'll get to work creating your program, and then it'll all show up on your home screen. So let's open it. We'll see what it looks like on the inside. To start off with, your home screen might not look like this. It might look empty. Obviously, if you've just downloaded it and gone through the intake form, I wouldn't have created your program yet. So obviously, it might take a day or two for me to create that. I'll be in contact with you about that anyway, so you know what's going on. But when everything's up and running, you'll have two main boxes here. You're going to have your exercise box and your lifestyle box. Let's start with the lifestyle. This is something you're going to be filling in each day. It's going to give me a good insight on how your night was, how your day was, and it gives me information that will help me and help you navigate the day. If you click on lifestyle, there's going to be 3 questions. With some people, I might add some more. That's completely personal, but there'll generally be 3 main questions. 2 of them you're going to be answering in the morning. The last one you're going to answer at night. So if we click on lifestyle, you can see the questions that are here. We've got how much sleep have you got, you've got the sleep quality, and then you've got the steps. As we click on answer lifestyle, we can kind of put what we've had in there. When we answer the sleep, you're going to answer from the night before. So obviously if you're waking up on a Wednesday, it's going to be how did you just sleep. The other one there is steps, but that's steps on that day. So that's the thing that you'll have to answer a bit later. As you can see here, there's a target of between 7 and 7.5 hours. This is just an average goal. Don't worry if you're under or you're over. This is just the middle ground for most people. You can see here that if I'm within the range, so if I click on this and I say I slept for 7 hours, it's going to give me a little green tick. If I'm lower, let's say I was at 5 hours, it's going to give me a cross. And then if I went up and I slept for 10 hours, it's also going to give me a cross. This is just to let me know on my end that it was out of range. Let's just say you've got 3 hours sleep because you were up all night with a poorly child. It'll flag me that you've had 3 hours sleep. And I can shoot you a message then just asking like why your sleep was so low, and we can set up expectations for the day based on that. Maybe you've had a really hard, or maybe you're going to have a really hard workout that's going to be coming up on that day, and we decide that we're going to push it back a day based on kind of how you slept and what you've been going on. These questions really help me to keep your training collaborative, so it's not just like do this training on these days, don't really care how you've slept, and keeps it moving smoothly around your life so we can kind of get this real customized program and not just a cookie cutter program that you're going to just kind of follow with no input from your coach. When we've got that one logged, we can swipe over and then you can say how you slept. Just obviously if I've slept 3 hours, it probably wasn't very good sleep, so I can enter my result and I had a quality sleep of 1. It was terrible. After that, you're going to swipe across again, and this is where something that you would do at the night, which is going to be your steps. It just gives me a good idea on how your overall day had gone, and then I can give you feedback for the following morning. Generally, if you answer these first 2 questions, just literally as soon as you wake up, don't have to be first thing, but like pop the kettle on, answer the questions, and then go about your day. Obviously, if you've got your workout on there, you'll be doing your workout and going back onto the app. We're going to go through that next. But towards the end of the day, you can put your steps in. Let's say 8,000. Bam, tick, job's good. And I can then finish lifestyle. That's going to tell me how awesome I am, and then I can go back, and that is the lifestyle questions answered. The second thing is your workouts. This won't be every day. We'll figure out how many times a week you're training and what that actually looks like. But when you have a workout planned, it's going to be on there. If we click on the exercise tab, it's going to give you an overview of your workout. So let's say that is our workout that we've got planned for today. Logging your workouts is very, very important. Similar to the tracking on the NutriCheck for our nutrition. We want to know that we're improving. I want to know how you're performing. And I'm able to then program and adjust your workouts, give you recommendations on what weights to use, and just bring about the best results for you progressing. So let's click on start workout. I've already been on this, so it says update workout, but yours will say start workout. So we click on there. There's going to be 4 main types of exercises or ways of exercising that we're going to be going through. Not everyone will be using all of them, but I'll run through each of them so you can see what's going on and what they mean. The first thing that you'll come across is going to be a warm-up. This is separate to the 4 things. But from here, I'll give you potentially a different warm-up on what you're doing. I'll have an explanation of what's going on. And right there, you can see it says demo videos just above the description. If I click on demo videos, it's going to give me kind of a pop-up of the video. And that's going to be what I want you to do it like. Sometimes it'll be me, sometimes it'll be someone else. They've got a real big repository of exercises within the app. So sometimes it'll be one of the people doing it, but it'll be exactly how I want you to do it. If it's not, I'll have put a video of me doing it exactly how it wants to be in there. We can swipe across for our first exercise. So the first one we're going through is something called a straight set. You'll know it's a straight set because there's just going to be a letter, no numbers, just one letter. This means that you're going to be doing this exercise in isolation. You'll be performing the exercise as prescribed and then resting as prescribed and then doing it for the allotted amount of sets. You can see here that it's written as 3 sets of 12 to 15 reps at an RPE of 7, resting 60 seconds. This means you're going to be performing 12 to 15 reps of the exercise at a 7 out of 10 difficulty and then resting for 60 seconds before doing your second set. Same again, third set. RPE stands for rate of perceived exertion. It's just a really technical term for just how hard are you training. It's a scale of 1 to 10. Basically, 10 means that you couldn't have done another rep if you tried. 9 means that you could do 1 more rep. 8 means that you could have done 2 reps and so on. Generally, we want to be doing most of our training around that RPE 7. There's some exercises where I'll bump it up or down, but that's going to be based on what we're trying to achieve on the day. So we want to make sure that there's a few extra reps in there, but you're pretty much tapped out towards RPE 7. Often, we're going to need to do a couple of warm-up sets to get the correct weight. So this is 3 sets of 12 to 15, but that's your working sets. If someone needed to squat 100 kilos for 12 to 15 reps to make it an RPE 7, we wouldn't want them to just come in the gym, shove 100 kilos in the bar and start squatting. They might need to do the bar for some reps, then 60 kilo for some reps, 80 kilo, and finally actually hit their 100 kilo. This allows them to get accustomed to the movement and not just dive in at the deep end and hurt themselves lifting really heavy. These warm-up sets, like I said, don't count towards the actual working sets of the 3 sets on the program. They're purely there to get warmed up. For seated hamstring curl, this might look something like this. You do 1 to 2 warm-up sets, and then you do 3 working sets. Warm-up set 1, you might do 10 kilos or like an easy weight, whatever that ends up being, for 10 reps. You might just rest 10 to 20 seconds because it's only a warm-up set. It's not that fatiguing. You'll put the weight up a little bit. Let's say we put it on 20 kilos and do 5 reps. Again, it's a warm-up set. We don't have to do crazy amount of reps or weight. We just want to get accustomed to the weight and work our way up to what that working weight will be. Sometimes you might not know what that working weight is going to be when you've got a fresh new exercise. So what the best thing to do is to just kind of treat everything as a warm-up set until you hit what is the right difficulty and be like, right, that was my first main set. So sometimes it might take you a couple more warm-up sets to get there because you weren't quite on the money. From there, though, your following weeks, when you do the exercise, you'll know exactly what you're warming up to, so it'll be absolutely fine. From there, then, though, when you're at your working sets, you're going to do your actual first set. You're going to be hitting your 12 to 15 reps, followed by the amount of rest. We want to log how much weight and how many reps we're actually achieving through these working sets. I'd like you to log them down like this. We used 30 kilos for our working sets. We were then able to achieve 15 reps, let's say, on set 1, 2, and 3. So I'm going to write 15/15/15. This allows me to then see on the other side, right, you used 30 kilos and you got 15, 15, 15. Good. It just helps me understand exactly how much you're doing and what's going on. You can also write a note down if you wanted to, like, felt easy, so I can see on my end that you lifted 30 kilos for 15, 15, 15, and it felt easy. I can say next week let's try and do heavier, or whatever the case will be. There's also going to be video examples for all these exercises. You can see here where it says demos. You can click on that. Like I said, there'll be videos of either me or someone else going through them. Sometimes your machine might look slightly different to the one that's on there, but it'll be similar enough that you'll be like, right, I know exactly what one that one is. If you're unsure on some of the exercises, it's worth, on the day you're doing your workout, just looking through some of the demos, so then you walk into the gym and you know exactly what's going on. Right, the next one. Swiping across, I've got hack squats there. You can see again that this is a B with no numbers attached. It just says B, hack squat machine. This is also a straight set, which means this would work out exactly like the previous. This time it's 3 sets of 8 to 10 at an RPE 7 with 90 seconds rest. So just a little bit longer, but you fill it in the exact same. So let's swipe over to the next one. Here you can see that this is a C1 with a line down to C2. This is what's called a superset. This is where we're performing exercise 1 and then going into 2 and alternating between them. Sometimes you'll have rest between them, sometimes there'll be no rest. Here you can see I've got sissy squats, and then it says, obviously I've got 3 sets of 10 to 20, but it says rest 60 seconds, and then the hip adduction, rest 60 seconds. This means I will be performing the sissy squats, resting for 60, then going on to the adduction, resting for 60. Sissy, 60, adduction, 60, rotating back and forth. Sometimes it will say rest 0 seconds, which would mean that I would go sissy squats straight into the adduction machine, and then I would rest 60 seconds and then go back on. So that would end up going like sissy, adduction, rest, sissy, adduction, rest. So it's worth just looking and making sure that if you do find that there's a letter followed by a number linked together, that you're getting the allotted amount of rest and doing it the proper way. There's a potential sometimes that there might be like a C1, 2, 3, but it's very rare. In traditional gyms, it's quite hard to get 3 things linked up together unless you're using the same piece of equipment for them. So it'll generally just be 1 into 2. Third one, obviously, sorry, you would log that down exactly like normal, where you would be like, oh, I did body weight, so I did body weight, and I did it for 20, 13, 10. Easy peasy. And you just log it down as you go through. So it'd be the exact same. Obviously, you can scroll down and you see exactly what's going on for the next one. The third kind of exercise, we have something called an EMOM. That stands for every minute on the minute. Here we have a 9-minute EMOM, 3 exercises. I've wrote down there where minute 1 is incline curls, minute 2 is overhead extensions, and minute 3 is 10 calories on the bike. We start each exercise on the minute, and you have 60 seconds to perform the exercise. Either you'll be performing it for the full time or an allotted amount of reps. Here you can see we've got 3 exercises. You would get a stopwatch, and on your stopwatch, you would just press go. Between 0 and 60 seconds, you'll be doing the minute 1 exercise, which is going to be incline curls. You can see I've got no reps allotted on there. So what that means is you would basically just continue doing as many incline curls within that minute as you can. You can rest as much as you need to within it. The idea is to just fill that minute with that exercise. Sometimes I'll have something where it might be like incline curl, 10 reps. In that case, what you would do is you would start the timer, it would start at 0, you would start doing your reps. Once you've hit 10 reps, you would rest until that clock hits 60 again. Once you've hit 60, it's going to be going into the next exercise or the next minute, which is going to be minute 2 as we go through. Again, you go through the exact same thing, and you would just keep going through that until you've hit your exercises. I've got a 9-minute one here with 3 different exercises, which means I'm going to do exercise 1, 2, 3, and then I'm going to go back on the 4th round to 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, which means I'm going to hit my 9 minutes in total as I go through. Keep an eye out for if there's reps or no reps, because then you know exactly what you're aiming for in the minute, and so you know you're not kind of surprised by it. Results-wise, it's important to write down the weight that you've used, but don't worry too much about logging the reps, because obviously if you've got something like this where it's an open-ended thing, we're just trying to get work done. We're not worried too much about how many reps you can do. If you do count them on all of them, want to log them down, go for it, but it's going to be really hard to kind of like remember exactly how many you did on a 9-minute thing where you've got to go through it. So don't worry too much about that. Obviously, if you're going for 10 reps, then you know that you've hit 10 reps anyway as you go through. Finally, the last style of one is going to be something called an AMRAP. This stands for as many rounds as possible. With this, you've got a time cap. Right here, we've got a 5-minute time cap. We've got 2 exercises. There's 8 cal on the row machine, and there's a 20-second hollow body hold. With this style of workout, we'll just be continuously going through the exercises back to back until you hit the time limit. You'll go from 8 calories on the row machine into 20 seconds on the hold. Then you go 8 calories on the row machine, 20 seconds on the hold, and you just repeat that back and forward, seeing how many rounds you can get. You can rest as much as you like between each exercise or the rounds. We're not trying to die. Generally, it's just trying to challenge yourself so you can see how many rounds you can get going. But if you can keep it at a steady pace going through, that's great, because you're more than likely going to hit that AMRAP again at some point. You can look back on the previous ones that you've hit. There is an option here for history. Obviously, I've not got the history of what's going on there, but you'll be able to see what you did previously and potentially work on it. You'd log this down as how many rounds you achieved. So let's say I finished 4 rounds and I got 3 seconds into my hollow body before the 5 minutes ended. What I would do here is I would write 4 rounds, 3 second hollow, or something in that vein. And then that lets me see how many rounds you did, and I've got a good idea on my end of just like how hard or easy something should be. So I know if that comes out, I could be like, yep, that sounds about right, or like, oh, that was too hard, I wanted you to do more rounds, or likewise the other way. And it means I can add notes for the next time. I can say like, try and hit 6 rounds, or something for you to aim for. You can also add any notes, obviously, if you just like, this felt terrible. And then I could ask you, how'd that feel terrible? So we'll see what's going on through there. Right, last thing. We'll go off that. If I exit off there, well, bam. Again, I can just close that down. At the bottom of the screen, you'll see 3 options. There's home, there's chat, there's profile. If you click on the chat, that's where our chat's going to be, going through things. It's where our check-ins are going to be. It's where our communication is going to be. It's also where we can talk about the nutrition side of stuff. Feel free to message me just at any point during the day or night. I have time set aside each day where I can go through and reply to clients, so I'll get back to you as soon as I can. If it's urgent, I'll obviously be on there through the day and I'll try and get stuff done, but I'll be able to reply as soon as I can. That's where everything's going to be. You can also log things down, like if you want to send me any videos or anything, or whatever the case is. So that's where the chat function is. And finally, there's a profile tab. So if we go over there on the profile, we won't use this a lot, but it can be a place that can be really useful for you. If you want to kind of keep your metrics on stuff, you can see here where it says health data. If I click on this, you can connect kind of your Apple Watch, your Fitbit, etc. You can add all those things in there. You can also use the progress pictures tab to upload any progress pictures. Generally, we'll try and get some photos done at the start, and then as we progress through, not everyone has to do photos, but it's really, really useful for both me and you to see how you're progressing. Those can obviously be sent through the chat, as well as you can kind of keep your own as you go through there and have your own kind of repository of stuff. Your intake form that you filled in will be there. You can note down, if you're someone that trains at home, what equipment you've got, and I can see that those kind of things will have gone through on our intake form, so we won't need to worry about it too much. Again, you can set up your training schedule, your goals, all the rest of it. All those things you might not need to worry about because we'll have set them all up anyway. There's also a tab on here which can be really useful called the Documents tab. That has anything that I might want to send over to you that's in a PDF form for you to kind of download and look through. For example, here I've got the client's introduction booklet, which is a big overview of just kind of like how training works, how diet works, and a rundown of what we're going to be doing and why. I highly recommend that you read through that. It'll take you 10 minutes to go through it and it'll be really, really useful. But that's most of the things we'll need to know on the training app side of stuff. Have a look around, go through some of the options, see what's there, and if you have any questions on anything, obviously you can just let me know in the chat function and I'll answer it as soon as possible.